Closer to home here, Hillsborough County leaders, they took a step back, lifting the countywide curfew put in place just 3 days ago. Several board members say they've gotten an overwhelming amount of outcry following the vote earlier this week. Some calling the curfew unconstitutional. After a brief discussion, the board voted unanimously to rescind that order, which they said was well-intended but unnecessary.
After talking with all of our chiefs of police and studying the calls for service, the data clearly shows that we should not continue the curfew. The continued use of a curfew is not a tool that law enforcement needs, and continuing a curfew is redundant as our stay-at-home order already creates a 24-hour curfew with the same exceptions.
That was Sheriff Chad Chronister. Now, the board also considered an order that would have required people to wear a face covering in places where 6-foot social distancing is just too challenging. They ran into some technical difficulties just before taking a vote, but a majority of board members said they were against making masks mandatory. They said they would just prefer to encourage people to do that.